Hello, my name is Troy McDonald from Torqn, and I'm here today to talk to Peter Passaris from Intelligent Biosolutions. He's going to share an exciting, groundbreaking new drug testing product that's about to revolutionise the Australian heavy industrial sector. So welcome, Peter.
Thanks, Troy. Appreciate it.
So look, just give us a 5-minute pitch in terms of what your product does and how it's going to transform drug testing in the mining industry.
Sure. Basically, we have a drug screening solution for the market. Now, drug screening and drug testing in a market, in various markets, is not new, right? That's been around for a while. Typically done through urine, through saliva, or hair follicle. Our technology is new, so what it does is it collects sweat from the fingertips of your hands and tests for the 4 major drugs being opiates, methamphetamine, marijuana, and cocaine. And it does it in a very different way. So the body metabolizes these drugs and basically shows the different windows of detection in urine, in saliva, and in sweat. So ours differentiates it in the fact that our window of detection is 16 hours, which more tests the fit for duty for the user.
Yeah, look, my background is mining, so I understand the important role that drug testing plays about ensuring that people come to work and unimpaired. And one of the age-old debates we had was that we're not trying to catch people out, it's about deterrence. So that can people change their lifestyle behaviours, and we don't want people to get injured when they come to work. Right. Just talk us about the process in terms of how the testing works, how long it takes, and what's the difference between saliva and urine.
So as you mentioned about the privacy and the individual, every company, what's the purpose of drug testing, right? It's to keep your employees, your employers, everybody around you safe. That's the purpose of it, right? So today, if you get a positive result, then you have to stand down the employee. Now, what really separates our product in one way is the window of detection. So as the body metabolizes these drugs, it shows the metabolites in urine in one way, in saliva another way, and in sweat a different way. The window of detection that it's measuring in urine is 4 to 6 plus days, right? Yeah. Saliva is 48 plus hours. Sweat, it's only 16 hours. So what that really means is you're really testing fit for duty. You're really testing more the suggestion of impairment than you are testing about a possible residual that they had, right? Protecting the employee of what they do on their privacy and on their personal life over the weekend.
Great, let's have a look at it. Could you just
sure.
explain the simplicity of the product, because I'm used to turning up at work with a bag full of different coloured marbles. And you pick a blue one out or you pick a red one out, and if you're lucky enough to pick a red one out, you can go to work. If you get the blue one, you have to go around to the drug sampling bus. That takes an enormous amount of time, which we'll talk about productivity and the benefits in a moment. But just walk us through how the product works and how simple it is.
No problem. It is quite simple. So, we have results right now. So Troy just did a test, and as you can see, per the drug, opiates, methamphetamine, cocaine, and marijuana, it tells you if you're negative or non-negative per the drug.
And they're all negative.
They're all negative. Let's make a point of that. They're all negative. This is the cartridge that the sample's collected on. So it's a lateral flow technology. And what that means, it's very similar to a COVID test, as most the world is familiar with. The sample is collected on this little pad. So all fingers are collected to collect 1 sample of sweat. Then you close down the window that protects your sample. You depress the buffer solution, and the lateral flow technology starts. After you administer that testing, you identify the back of the test, usually employee ID number to protect the privacy of the individual, and then you wait 10 minutes for the chemistry to do its work. Now, we've actually done, a lot of customers have adopted this technology specifically on how fast you can do the test. Now, I say one test takes 10 minutes, but what you can do, which we also say is called batch testing, you can do up to 8 tests within 10 minutes, reducing the test per test to about 2 or less minutes. Yeah. So you then wait 10 minutes, and the reader, through a simple prompt, and I'll show you, basically you go to home, single test, it tells you to depress the buffer solution, go through, insert the cartridge. We've already used this one, so it won't read it because it's a one-time use only. And then you identify it through the employee ID as we have in the back of the cartridge, and then you just put start. Yep. It's very, very simple. It's a very simple test. When someone's collecting the test, the urine test, depending on if the individual just went to the bathroom or not, you can be waiting around quite a bit of time, right? Downtime is expensive and costs money for the employer. Saliva has its own a couple restraints as well, but sweat, as I mentioned, is ready to go. The collection of the sweat, so collecting the sample takes seconds, as you mentioned, as you noticed, right? We just collect sweat from every finger, and it's just a mass sample of the sweat, and then the buffer solution collects that and then tests the 4 major drugs that we mentioned. So the collection method is the quickest one.
That's amazing.
On the market. It is very quick. It's very quick.
Yeah, great. So talk to me a little bit about how it can be potentially gamed, because my experience in the mining industry firsthand is people do take vials of urine at certain temperatures in when they know the drug testing buses at site. Is there any way that employees can game the testing by washing their hands or having solutions on their hands that they can sort of game the testing process?
Yeah, it's a great question. So as you know, I mean, urine and saliva there's a lot of different discussions on how it's being gamed right now. We've done a bunch of testing on lotions, on hand sanitizer. It has no effect on the testing. If there is an extreme situation where someone comes in, their hands are completely soiled with something, or even if there's a doubt.
We recommend, which is part of our confirmatory test anyway, to wash the hands with soap and water, wait in a room with 15 minutes with your hands, palms open, and then you have enough sweat to collect the sample. Now the 15-minute wait, that's an extreme version. We actually suggest to collect the sample as is because the buildup of residual of sweat is a better sample.
Yeah, that's incredible. The first two things that comes to mind is that people are incredibly innovative when it comes to getting around certain testing that proves something otherwise in their personal life, which is a little bit invasive. But it's great to see that can't be gamed like some of the other technologies that are available today. Is there any other security measures, Peter, that protect from individuals transferring their fingerprints to others?
Yeah, very, very good question. So the cartridge itself does have a couple parameters around it. This little window that locks down in place. So once the individual collects a sample, they lock down this window that cannot be opened. It can't be it's a tamper-resistant window. And then you depress the buffer solution. The identification of the individual is written in the back. Typically an employee ID to protect the individual's name, but depending whatever the customer, how they want to set it up. Then this is their cartridge and this is their sample. So it is put into the reader. There is an RFID code embedded in this reader or in this cartridge. The second it's put in the reader, it cannot be reused, right? So what this is doing to stop any tampering of the sample is the window stops you from saying, well, Pete touched it and he put his fingerprint on it. That's why it's positive, right? Or Troy passing this back to Pete because he had a negative and I'm worried, so I'm going to reuse Troy's. We can't do that. So
once it's put into the machine,
that's it.
It'll log it, and then you can never put that same cartridge back in.
That's it. And there's been situations where mistakenly taken it out, and you have to throw it away and do it over again.
Right.
It cannot be reinserted in the machine.
You thought of most things.
We did. We hope so.
Tell me a little bit more about the industries that you're targeting and the reasons that you're targeting those industries.
Sure. So really our product, I mean, look, drug screening is in a vast amount of industries, right? Everything from transportation to construction to energy to food and beverage, you know, anywhere where you're operating a piece of machinery or you're driving a large piece of equipment, you want to ensure the safety of the individual and those that can be affected around it. So we are, you know, in the UK and European market, we have over 400 customers today. And those are in all the industries I spoke, plus more, right? We are bringing this technology to the Asia-Pacific market more recently. And in the Asia-Pacific market, we are targeting construction, mining, and transportation specifically today, only because there is a big need for that there. We find that they're the ones that are gravitating, as of today, towards our product, because with a window of detection, we fill a niche and we fill a gap that's in the market today, in our opinion. Right, that gap, and it all ties, relates it back down to the privacy of the individual, but being able to detect that 16-hour window of detection, what that does is it's saying, are you fit for duty today? If you are, great. If you're not, we can't operate this heavy equipment, right? And there's no employer in the world, I hope, that would disagree with that. They're going to say, I want to make sure you're operating this equipment safely. Now, what you do outside of those hours, I don't care about. But I do care about when you're operating and working for this company and doing it safely. And that's what our product kind of fills that gap.
Yeah, great. The union, historically, like drug testing, is generally accepted now in most workplaces as a way to keep people safe. The union has played an important role in that over previous years in terms of accuracy of the testing, any certifications. Just want to talk about those two things and how you've proven that the accuracy of your product is equivalent, if not better, than the other alternatives such as saliva and urine at the moment.
Sure. So our accuracy is 90+%, which correlates with the other drug screening products on the market. When you get down to the details of it, the sensitivity and specificity, which is false positives and negatives, is very strong. But it is still a screening device, as we have to remember. Yeah. Which is why typically when you get a positive or a non-negative on screening, it follows with a back to lab depending on the employer and their policy.
Yeah, pretty consistent with what's done with the other testing at the moment.
Yeah. So, and to answer your question about the certifications and accreditations, so today we have worked with NADA accreditation, which everyone's familiar with. So NADA has accredited Intelligent Biosolutions partner, which is Razzle, Racing Analytical Services Limited, to do our confirmatory testing. So all confirmatory testing, the portion is NADA accredited. We are now, Australian standards is another question, and that's a good question. But Australian standards, we have to remember the reason Australian standards is written, right? It's to hold all the urine, all saliva. It's to hold everyone at a certain level and a quality level to ensure consistency and quality control. Us, Intelligent Biosolutions being the first ones to do sweat collection and drug screening, there is not an Australian standard, but we actually are working with Australian standards today to write the first standard for sweat, which we're very excited about, to be honest.
Yeah, that's great.
Yeah.
Is there any other competitors in other parts of the world? So you're the first mover in this market in sweat testing for drug prevention, but is there any other competitors that you've got at the moment? Or?
No. So when it comes to sweat collection as an analyte and doing drug screening and testing from that, we are the only ones, and we have a bunch of intellectual property and patents around that technology.
And so you're listed on the NASDAQ?
We are, yep. Intelligent Biosolutions is listed on the NASDAQ Stock Exchange in New York. So
I'm a mine operator. I own a coal mine in Western Australia. There's no coal in Western Australia, so it'll be iron ore.
Okay.
But, so I've got a big iron ore mine in Western Australia, and you're coming to tell me about your product. What benefits will I get, and how does it work commercially?
Sure, and that's a good question, because the product does give benefits to an employer and an employee in the same way, but in different ways. So as far as the employee goes, back to what we said before, when the window of detection allows it protects the employee and it protects their private life, protects their lifestyle, right, for what happens over the weekend. Because when you come down on Monday and you're doing an induction after a week off, if you have a residual, saliva and urine can pick that up as a positive or non-negative, right? Versus our 16-hour window, like I said, is more indicative of what is fit for duty and creating under the influence activity. So for the employee, it allows them to live a more private and more towards their lifestyle. It also, when it comes to collecting the test, we're the least invasive and non-invasive technology. That's really what our company focuses on, is the non-invasive nature of the drug screening device. I mean, if I offered you a drug test right now, and I said, well, here's a cup you can pee in, here's a swab I'm going to run around your mouth in, or you can just touch this pad, which one would you choose?
Easy.
It's easy, right?
It's easy.
And I think that everyone would choose that, right? Yeah. It's a very simple, non-invasive way of collecting a sample to do drug screening.
Yeah, it's interesting because it's progressed over time. There's been a lot of debate, and I think there's even been some legal challenges about what an employer's right is in regards to what they do with positive samples from a result from a drug test. And the fact that you've got a 16-hour window really now limits what can be done in terms of someone having a social habit that was 3 weeks ago while they were overseas with their mate, as compared to being genuinely prepared for the task that they've been employed for.
That's right.
Not to say that deterrence isn't a great thing.
No, that's right. That's right.
But it will take away some of those other debates.
Yeah.
And what sort of service does your company provide? So I'm on this mine site that I referred to earlier. If I want to engage your services, how does that look? Do you have a support service that comes to site? Do you do the testing?
Sure.
What's that end-to-end product offering look like for your customers? And it might be different offerings, but what options are there for that?
Sure. Good question. So Right now, there's a lot of different ways you can do drug screening, right? You may have a health and safety officer on site that does the drug screening for the company. You may have a third party that comes in and administers the drug screening as well. Our product is a very simple, straightforward product that can be and is encouraged to be done on site by the safety officer or the person that is designated to do the testing. The reason that is so valuable is because a third party, so we've had a lot of customers that have transitioned from third party user to administering the test themselves. It's been a huge cost savings for them because typically the biggest pain points for a customer and the reason they're using a third party is for the fact that they say, well, I don't want Troy to be the one to tell Pete that he has a non-negative, right? And now he has to, because now it's Troy's fault, right? Troy's the one that is interpreting these results and it's Troy's fault that I'm going home and losing my job for the day. Our product allows you to bypass that. And the reason is because by having a reader that is telling you non-negative or negative, it's the third person in the room now, right? Yeah. It's the reader that is telling you the results. So it's not Troy holding accountable. It's not Troy interpreting the results through a color scheme. It's the reader telling you. And that removes that personal connection. Yeah. And people moving from, our customers moving from a third-party user to in-house using, you can imagine the cost savings. It's huge.
Yeah,
it's
well,
huge.
Where my mind goes straight away is to production uptime. So
absolutely,
being
yeah.
from an operational background, if you've got a coal mine or an iron ore mine
That's
or a
it.
copper mine and you've got to take 10% of your workforce out, traditionally my experience is that a thorough drug testing program would take about probably 30 to 45 minutes at the start of the shift.
Right.
So if you can limit that window of testing down to 10 minutes, that turns into real productive time for the mining companies, which is huge revenue. Yeah.
And we have a lot of case studies and stories of customers. There's ones where they have a 2-day induction time, right? They're bringing a huge amount of employees on site. We were able to reduce the 2-day induction period to about 4 hours.
Yeah.
It was a huge amount of savings, and really that's the benefit for the employer, right? We talk about the employee. The employer, it always comes down to cost savings, right? Other than having the employee's interest their best interest at heart, but it's also to say, through the window of detection, through the shorter time of testing, through the least invasive nature of it, it results to dollars for the employer. It really does. Time savings, increased efficiencies, and dollar savings.
Absolutely, it's a fantastic product. Oh, that's great. And what's your vision for the product for the next 5 years? Like, what's the business plan look like, particularly in the Australasian region, because that's most of our listeners.
Sure. So, really, what our goal is bringing awareness around this product. As you've seen, it's a product that when people realize it is an alternative to saliva and urine, to many customers, it's a no-brainer. They love the product and they want it. So it's really bringing awareness, letting the public know that we are here, we are an option, we are an alternative, and our product can save you money and is a better fit for your employees. So our goal is really to kind of promote in the sectors we spoke, but really in every sector that is currently doing drug screening.
This has got a pretty big impact in terms of changing systems and processes and procedures on site. So what would a trial look like for a large mining site? Call it 800 to 1,000 people operating on the site. What would a trial look like to first get confidence in the product? But then what would like a full-scale implementation to transition to your solution look like?
Yeah, that's a good question. So typically, the way we do implementation, we obviously work with each customer differently. Everyone has their own and customized way of doing things, right? So typically, we like to implement our product in the most similar fashion they're doing drug screening today to make it as most a smooth transaction as possible. With that said, our product is a different way of doing a test. So we'll follow their procedures, follow their policy, and implement and have a smooth as possible implementation for their system. Often, being a new technology, they'll want a trial or a demo, which is just fine. We 100% agree and support that, so that every employer can touch and feel and see how the product works for themselves. So often what we'll do is we'll set up a trial for a week or so. We'll do a trial in their normal routine systems, and then by the end of the trial, they say, we like it, we're happy, and then we just continue with the product.
Oh, that's great. Pretty simple transition.
It is. It's very simple.
Yeah. What is the scale of the company globally? And what support would be provided to the Australian market?
Sure. So as I mentioned, the product is manufactured in the UK because that's where the original product was developed. So the largest customer base is UK and then breaking out to the European markets. As I mentioned, we have over 400 customers over there, a vast amount of industries. And so our support network, typically every customer will have an account manager that they can fall back on. They can ask any technical questions, any questions at all. And then they'll go back to the company as we have a research development team, we have a tech support team, and we have a product specialist team as well. So the support is there for every customer to ensure that the success of the product is being used throughout their business. Yeah.
In terms of uptime they would get in using your product in comparison to the other ones, it would be a huge number.
It would. I think the return on investment, we have not had a single customer who has not had a significant return on investment. Yeah. And I can say that very confidently. It basically, depending on every customer's key business drivers, everyone has a different reason to want the product, right? And I had mentioned in the past, transitioning current customers that are using drug screening device and transitioning into ours. But we've actually found customers that aren't doing any drug screening today at all and have been looking for the right solution, right? A hesitation on their end is they're worried about kickback on their employee side. They're worried about, introducing something that might be considered invasive. And our product has been a perfect fit for them because being the least invasive drug screening solution on the market, it is a better and a smoother transition into a space they're trying to get. They just don't know how to maneuver it, and our drug solution was the best fit for them.
That's great. Look, I think it's fantastic. I haven't got too many more questions. Can you buy it off the shelf?
You can't, and the reason so you can't go online and buy it on Amazon. Yeah, it's not available for that reason. Yeah, right. And there's a reason we do that. We want to make sure that everyone gets the proper training, the right support. Yeah. Right? Because I think support of any product is very important to ensure its success and the company and employer success. Yeah. So for that reason, we do have a very well capable and energetic staff to support. Like I said, if there's any interest, be happy to go onto our website, send an inquiry. We'll respond very quickly and answer any questions, set up a demo, a trial, and go from there.
Yeah, no, I actually, about a month ago, I had a drug test driving by the police on the side of the road.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, and pulled up and they did the saliva test on the side of the road. And it just opens up the possibilities that the product has in regards to which sectors it can go into is basically unlimited, But I think your focus is targeting those industries such as construction, agriculture, mining, heavy industrial sector, whereby the implication of impairment is much greater.
Correct.
Yeah. Yeah. Very good. Very good. I think there's something like 480 operating mines in Australia. Don't quote me the numbers, but last time I looked, it's a big number. Has the company got the capacity to scale up very quickly?
Absolutely. Yeah. Depending on the needs of the customer, as we've shown with some customers in the UK, the scaling capabilities are quite quick. Yeah. So typically, we have to look at the customer's needs and how they're running a drug screening today. If you're running drug screening daily and you have 5 different sites, then we typically say, well, let's have a reader at each site, which makes sense, and then do the testing on site every day. Some have a health and safety officer that travels to different sites, and they just have a reader that they carry around themselves and administer the test. Right. So really, it's a very customizable solution depending on what the customer's needs are.
That's great. With my mind games is sometimes you look at some repeat offenders with breath testing and they've got a ignition interlock on their cars whereby they have to actually blow into the bag and be lower than that. Do you ever see a future whereby this could be mature to the extent that it's that compact that it could become a real-time control that's interlocked to control systems on heavy industrial vehicles?
Look, our research and development team is always working on new ideas. We do have a couple things in the works that we're excited about. I can't speak about today. Yeah. But our mission is non-invasive safety, right? Yeah. We want to protect the people out there. So if we can create a solution that will protect the public, protect individuals, we're all for it. And I think if we have that mindset, we'll always come up with the right solution.
Excellent. It's a pretty innovative product. I can see a lot of application and a lot of benefits, particularly in the mining and construction sectors, but just the simple fact that it is not intrusive. Males and females are obviously different when they have to do a urine test, but and that anatomical reason, but this is the same for everybody.
Yeah.
And I think it's very, very simple. It's very, very practical. It's very, very quick.
Yeah.
So look, just to sum up, Peter, give us the 10-second or 30-second pitch in terms of why the Australian mining and construction industry should look up your company.
Look, very high level. We're a drug screening product that is new technology and not a space that is new. Drug screening is not new. Our product will support employers when it comes to cost savings, will support employees when it comes to their privacy and their lifestyle. And it is just a more dignified approach that allows employees and employers to do their job and run their company safer and more efficiently.
That's awesome. So, how does what's a person do to get in contact with the company?
Sure. So we Intelligent Biosolutions. Our website is ibs.inc, and please look us up. Happy to support. Just send out an information email through the website. The website will give you a lot more information. We have a great informational video that's just 1 minute, gives you a great highlight as to what the product's about. And then we will reach out to you immediately with contact information to see how we can best fit your company and your key business drivers.
Is there anything else you'd want to share with people that haven't covered off?
No, we're very excited about the product. It in many ways, we love bringing it to customers because they're excited about it, right? Like I said, it's not just another drug screening device on the market. We fill a gap in a niche that others can't. Yeah. And when employees see the dollar cost savings around it, when the employees see the non-invasive nature and the more protection of privacy and more dignified approach, it's a win-win for everybody.
Absolutely.
And we just love bringing that technology to a market that has been doing drug screening for a long time, and now we're a new player in the market.
Absolutely. Well, look, reach out. I encourage you to reach out to the team here. So thanks, Peter, and I encourage anyone who wants to make sure that their employees are safe from impairment of using drugs and operating equipment across the mining or any sector for that matter. Get in touch with these guys. Great group of people up here in Sydney and all over the world, and I'm sure you'll see more of them and the company grow in the near future. Thanks, Peter.
Thanks, Troy. Appreciate it.